Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Events Committee on Tuesday, the 12th of November. We have apologies from Councillor Lord, who's unable to make it this evening. Has there been any declaration of interest on any of the items?
And Councillor Robinson as well.
Oh, sorry, and Councillor Robinson, obviously for the apologies. It's hard not to notice that he's not here.
We've also had apologies from Councillor Neil Butterworth and Michael Heslop.
Thank you very much. And is there any declarations of interest for any of the items on the agenda tonight? No, thank you very much. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes of the last meeting, please?
I'll propose them, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor.
Second them.
Thomas. And thank you, Councillor Hannah Wood. Thank you for that. There's no one here for the public forum, so we can move on to item 6, feedback from the Halloween in Colne. Oh, sorry, it's been a while. Can I just have a vote on the minutes, please? All those in favour? Sorry. All those opposed? Yes. Thank you. Thanks very much. Right. Now on to item 6, Halloween in Colne. Nathan?
So the last event that we had wasn't the last one actually. End of October we had the Halloween in Colne event, which the event was mainly themed on Harry Potter. The event was very successful, very busy. Lots of positive feedback from members of the public, traders, and all those involved. We did notice on the day that we should have had additional toilets because of how busy the event was, which we've noted. And there were some issues created from one of the bins that we had on hire being locked, and that we'd not been provided a key from Pendlebury Council, which caused a couple of issues, but we resolved them. And we've asked Pendle politely for them not to charge us for that bin because we couldn't use it, and it wasn't our fault, which they've agreed. But other than that, it was a fantastic event. We got really decent weather for October. And like I say, all we've had is positive feedback from local businesses, traders, members of the public, and any external bodies that came in with entertainment for the event.
Thanks for that, Nathan.
Chair, can I just ask? I noticed that there wasn't very many shops that were involved with the Halloween dressing up the windows. There were lots that were dressed up. There were only about 5 or 6 had come to us and said we want to be part of this. The competition, and really they should all be involved, shouldn't they? All the shops in Colne who want to. I don't know why they're not putting themselves forward, because a lot of them were better than the ones we were.
So with the window competition, we've seen a decline in number of businesses getting involved with the window competition. We advertise it heavily on social media. It goes out different times every week. We put it in business groups that we're in on social media, and we don't seem to be getting any engagement from the businesses other than a small handful. So when you look at it if you take a step back, it seems pretty pointless to actually do the competition if you're not getting anyone involved. But yeah, unfortunately, they just don't enter the competition.
People going into the shops and asking them why they don't. That might, they might, if you.
It's an idea, yeah. Alice has just been into some shops recently. Maybe she got some feedback on.
I just was wondering about the fact that the businesses themselves aren't putting themselves forward. Perhaps we could ask the general public to put the businesses forward, because I know that a lot of them are decorated for Easter, for Halloween, for spring, at Christmas, and yet the businesses themselves, perhaps they don't have the time to think about putting themselves forward. But we could ask general public which ones would you like us to judge? Or we could just put them all in. We just walk down and we can judge them as they are, and they get a prize, even if they're not in it, if you know what I mean.
I mean, an option we could have, because if you were to judge every single window, you'd miss the full event. You'd be walking up and down all day long, which I'm sure Gina and Mary and those that judge it don't want to miss the whole event.
Does it have to be an officer that is judging?
They tend to be an officer with whoever's judging it, whether it's the mayor or whether it's Mary as chair of the council. But what we could do is like a social media competition where businesses come forward to nominate their shops. They send us a photo of their display, and we put it out on social media for members of the public to judge by liking the photo of that shop. And we could do it that way because it won't take as much time walking up and down judging the shops. There's more incentive there because members of the public are looking at the shops, and it'll make our social media look better as well, because in terms of engagement, cause we'll have more people liking the photos, sharing them, tagging people in them, that sort of thing. So that could be change it up slightly.
And perhaps, oh sorry, I'm jumping in again. Perhaps you could do some printouts of the photos to put in the library so that those people that aren't on social media can also get involved.
That's an excellent suggestion. Thank you for that, Alice.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, not Patricia. David.
Yeah.
And
I just want to thank Nathan for organising the event and for Craig for doing a fantastic job on what he does every day. And without Nathan and the Colne Council and all the staff that do the events, Colne wouldn't be the same as what it is, and the families wouldn't be entertained. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that, David. It was Craig and then Patricia. Oh, Patricia and then Craig. Patricia. I'll go with Patricia and Craig.
Thank you, Chair. I know where you're coming from with the shops and but some of the I can only speak for one with the shop that I work at. I think that the window dresser would be willing, but unfortunately, head office don't want us to get involved, and that's where you've got charities or multinationals. If it's a local business, they're more likely to get involved. But if it's a conglomerate, they're more reluctant, I think. But I could try again for next year.
Craig, sorry.
So yeah, great event, really well attended. Just from a trader's point of view, the setup from for your own gazebo stalls was a little bit chaotic because I think a lot of moving parts on the day, to be fair. A lot of other events we go to spray, your four corners and your stall number on the floor. That way we can just turn up, we know our number, we can get our stuff out, we can get our car, and we can go. Is that something we can do for future events? It'll free your staff up from having to march each individual person down to their little designated area.
Well, we just had a chat about this now. It's not allowed out on that market, and they shouldn't be doing that in any non-town council events anyway. They shouldn't be like marking the pavement with numbers. It's not permitted. So unfortunately, it's not something we can do. But Nathan's actually got a plan set out, obviously, for the Christmas event, which we'll go on to on item 8, where we could be able to discuss that better.
Yeah, no, just saying it because obviously I know at the bid events that's what they do. All the way up through Colne, and obviously it's temporary and it only lasts a couple of weeks and it washes away. And it's done predominantly throughout everywhere we go, from Doncaster right through to Manchester. But if that's how it is here, then that's fine. But just a suggestion.
The problem you've got is because when we set the market up, how we are at the moment, running it down the high street, you struggle to get vehicles down past the gazebos. So it would be great to have some sort of markings on the floor, but you'd have to get consent from Lancashire County Council
Right.
because they're there for more than a couple of days. If they pick up on that it's being done and it's there for a couple of weeks, although it is temporary because it only lasts a couple of weeks, it's not permanent. They can issue fines, and I'm pretty sure Town Council don't want a hefty fine from LCC for these markings. We are looking at different ways how we can make setup for traders a little bit easier. Biggest thing that we've noticed, if traders actually read their emails and so they've got an allocated time slot,
Definitely.
then that would help, because we've noticed on a few occasions they've just ignored the time slot and they've just turned up when they've wanted. Obviously, you saw the email, you didn't turn up till the time that you was allocated, because that way it's set up so that traders further down towards Tesco can get in first and get unloaded and get set up, and then we work our way back up so that when you get to the back end of the market, up near the pharmacy, it's easier for them to set up when everyone else is set up, because obviously otherwise you're just going to get vehicles trying to get down to their store.
Absolutely.
Like Anthony mentioned, for Christmas we've changed the plan slightly, so that there'll be no driving up and down. You've got designated parking, so you can park and unload, which in your pack you'll see the site plan with notes on about access. We're trialing that to see if that works any better. But that's the reason we can't really be marking the road or the pavement, because it lasts for longer than a couple of days.
No, that's fine. I'd say just a suggestion from a point of view. It's just makes it so much easier to turn up. I'm there, unload, and away. But like I say, if that's how it is, that's fine. Are these the same as the email you sent out?
They've changed slightly.
No worries.
Only about half an hour ago they got changed slightly.
No worries.
But your positioning should be the same.
No worries. No, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, I just thought I'd mention it. That's it then, really.
Thank you very much,
No
Craig. Mary?
Can we check with Lancashire County Council just to say, can we do that? This for one bigger, I don't know. Have we asked them?
I mentioned it briefly to Simon Bucknell a couple of months back.
Has it?
And he can put us in the right place to ask, but he said it's quite unlikely, but we can always ask rather than say yes or no.
Tell them we well, if other towns are allowed to do it with their councils, maybe
I think it'll be a case of other people don't get permission, they just do it.
just do it.
I mean,
and the other thing is going back to the displays in the shops. If the shops will all be going to put the Christmas stuff in now, after, why can't we do it a few days before the actual event?
Yes.
On the legal.
Yeah. Then with plenty of time to judge it rather than on the day.
just be 2 seconds. I'll bring it down.
Don't forget we're still streamed.
Yeah. So we could do that, couldn't we? Do it on the Friday or the Thursday before.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And we just judge all of them.
I think display.
Yeah.
We'll go for a walk on Friday after
Yeah.
the evening, judging all of them.
Well, we were going around the other day, and there were quite a few shops, going back to the window displays, that didn't know about the things, the reindeer walks and the Easter egg walks. When we put something in the window.
Yes.
And they showed an interest in that because they didn't know, because that draws people to the shop window in the first place.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So I was wondering if something similar could be done for Halloween, a witch trail.
Yeah.
Or something.
They did have a trail, I think.
They had a Harry Potter
They
trail.
had a Harry
Oh,
Potter
yeah.
trail. They did. did.
Can do Halloween.
But
I was suggesting, you know, we could get like a celebrity judge to judge the shops.
What, made the announcements sort of like the ones we've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can obviously we can bring it up obviously when we get onto item 8, see if we can see what Nathan thinks of that. Like if depends on like time constraints, obviously, because they're arriving like pretty late in the day already. I think they're arriving around 6:30 in the evening.
they won't have time to do
Yeah,
it.
unless we'll just basically give,
Takes a good couple of hours.
and they'd probably get, knowing them, they might get ambushed. Obviously, walking up there, and that if they've got the security with them, the security might just say, "There's no way it's." But well, it's a good idea, David. It's well, while we're all here as well, congratulations off to Haley for a very successful night at you see. Very successful party in here on.
Thank you. Yeah, we had very good numbers, very good night, a lot of dancing. The mayor came. I think we raised just over £1,000.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, still need to do some finalising, but we've obviously had a lot on in the last couple of weeks. We circumstances at the Citadel, so yeah, yeah, it were a really good, it were a really good night. Yeah.
How much did that football shirt go for?
I can't tell you how much, but I can tell you.
Did it raise a significant amount?
It raised an okay amount, yeah. And Neil Butterworth actually won it, which was lovely.
That's excellent.
So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, 10 years. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's to 10 more, obviously.
Fingers crossed there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's an absolute godsend, isn't it? Because now the market's shut. The old traders, they used to go in and say, I can't get my benefits. Can you sort it out on my phone? That well, they've nowhere else to go, haven't they? Still, but you know, you look after them and you can come and ask.
We used to be like really busy on perhaps like a Monday or a Friday, but now it's just spread across the board, and we'll easily see 500 people a week. You know, and I'm not saying they'll all eat or all have a cup of coffee. They might be coming for counselling.
Yeah.
They might be coming to a group. They might be just looking for somebody to point them in the right direction. But yeah, it's
excellent.
It's a good little community. But Colney's, that's the best thing, isn't it? It's Colney. It is. It's amazing.
I just want to say a massive thank you to Julian and Haley because the Citadel wouldn't be there if it weren't for them and all the volunteers. Thank you so much.
Exactly. I echo those thanks as well, and as does everyone here. Thank you very much for everything you do in the community. It's excellent work.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I think we'll move on to item 7, feedback from the Remembrance Day at the weekend.
So fantastic parade, fantastic service again. We had a couple of complaints, concerns over the track that was used for the march, which at the last meeting it was discussed about having a track put together for the parade, which we did do. Tony Davis signed it off, and it turns out it was wrong. So back to the drawing board. I'm talking to a chap called Pat who knows about military music, and we're going to get sorted ready for next year.
Yeah.
But the complaints we had about all the different beats, I'm blaming Tony. Yeah, so I'm blaming Tony because he signed it off.
Yeah, he's an ex-military, isn't he?
Yeah, so but other than that, everyone seemed happy. It was really busy like always. So yeah.
Then Howard.
I thought coming out of the cenotaph was really well organised this year. because sometimes it can be just like a little bit of a free for all, and the little brownies and guys, they sometimes disappear in the crowd. But this year we were all lined up really well, and then set off, and the general public were behind, or in their own space. However, starting, it was 1 minute we were on the pavement, and the next minute it seemed like they'd gone. And I felt that there wasn't enough marshalling at that end. We used to have people coming to make sure that we were all in place before we got down. I think it might have been because somebody new was doing it. They were concerned that we wouldn't get down there in time. And so that was, that we just sort of went in a way too quick. And we were having to push our way in front of the fire brigade, and we just mixed in with everybody, really. So that little bit would need to be tightened up a bit,
So,
in my view.
If it was to provide the new parade marshal Adam with a megaphone,
yes,
that would make sure everyone can hear exactly what he's saying in regards to forming the parade.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
That's fine.
Yeah. We were going to talk about having singers. Were
We did
there
have some.
any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. We had 2 choirs which they had microphones because we spoke with Fiona, the mayor's secretary, and she arranged the additional microphones because they arranged the PA for down there. So we did have choir singers with microphones.
Oh, we mustn't have been able to hear them
It
from.
was the lady, it was Nelson Ladies Orphanage Choir.
Right.
Coleman Nelson Ladies Choir.
They were chaps' choir, weren't they?
Yeah.
Were they stood at the front?
They were stood down the side next to the military veterans.
Right. Okay.
At 2 points. First one, a slight niggle. Don't cut and paste, because it said Queen in on the bit. Foot. No. Well, Queen was still in there rather than being King.
We actually get provided that from Pendle. So
well, they didn't. They cut and pasted it then. The other, I think, from what I remember of days gone by, the order of the procession was set out much more clearly. It said, mayor, and it was in distinct blocks, and then anybody else that came along. And also, despite this is about the 3rd year on the trot that going back has dissolved into an almighty free for all wasn't the word that sprung to mind, but it was a bit higgledy-piggledy, and by that time the traffic management people had taken the road closed things down, so cars were coming out, and it was all a bit, could have been more difficult, and it just, we need to make sure that whoever, well, I mean, presumably, what's he called, the vicar, at the end of it, says, right, or somebody will say, right, the parade form up, because it always used to do it back, used to come down, mayor at the front, mayor disappears up to here and stands on the step, and then the parade is back with the opposite way to what it came down. Something else I thought, I can't remember it.
we were going to be across at the lads. But
Well,
they said no, we have to be out. So
I've remembered the other thing. Well, first of all, it should only be the mayor, I think, that comes up and says aye, aye. But in days gone by as well, we used to have the town, the Pendle town clerk, as well as the mayor, or there was always somebody representing Pendle other than or in addition to the mayor. So, you know, perhaps that can just be relayed back. Well, mind you, there probably isn't anybody left, and the way things are going, we won't have a Pendle in 2 years, but there we are.
Well, thank you for the feedback there. Can I just go to obviously to Nathan?
I just want to say that the poem that Reverend Alex, read at the end of it was absolutely a wonderful poem. It got to everyone's hearts, and especially on an emotional day. And I just want to say thank you so much to Reverend Alex for that beautiful service and beautiful prayer.
Thanks for that, David. I think after the service, there needs to be a bit more control of reforming the parade. I think Alex or the parade marshal needs to be saying, right, everyone form back up, because you notice everyone starts looking around like, do we walk back up the hill? Do we form? So I've made a note that there needs to be more control after the service of getting the parade reformed.
I think the problem is everybody thinks it's somebody else doing it. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can get that sorted.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure all of them are aware that they do walk back up after the parade as well, because I know some of the scouts groups disperse from down there and go back with their chosen adult. So it might be a case of actually making sure that each member or grouping of the parade want to be part of that, and that they know they're going to form and walk back up with them.
Again, on that sheet, it used to say the words to the effect of the parade will then reform and go back to the British or the Legion, but in reverse order.
Thanks very much. Did Patricia want to? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. In regards to forming the reforming back up, it should be the parade marshal who does say all this. But obviously, it was Adam's first year as parade marshal, so he wasn't aware. So I will be in touch with him, and because I'm chair of the Colne Veterans Group here, so I will. If Nathan will be happy, I would like to be involved in helping choose the music for next year, with making sure that we've got the correct beats and all that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for volunteering, Patricia. That's really kind of you to do that. And on to item 8, everyone's favourite time of the year, the Christmas lights switch off.
So, in your papers that I've given everybody, you should have variations of bits of artwork and plans and all the fun stuff we have to do behind the scenes. So you've got the event post that's gone out on social media, and Alice and Michael very kindly dropped them around the businesses to get them out for the ready for the event. The gateway boards are up advertising that the event's taking place, so you'll see them on the 4 entrances and exits to town. You'll also see a copy of the full event schedule, which hasn't been released yet, so don't share it or I'll hunt you down. Just to give you an idea of how much is going on over the day, with various different activities and performances. So opening up the main stage, we've got the Encore Dance School, then we've got Accrington Pipe Band, Pendle Academy of Dance, then we've got live music from Andrew Gilmore, performances from Stage Door Youth Theatre, Pendle Hippodrome Youth Theatre, more live music, but with Claudia Thompson. Then we've got Mischievous Elf Show, which is the Santa's elves. Get all the children involved singing and dancing to create enough Christmas magic to send them back to the North Pole. Then we've got the Interactive Grinch Show, which is similar concept. It gets all the children involved, keeps them nice and warm so they don't complain to the parents are cold. Then we'll have the interval. And then we've got Frozen Sing Along. And then we've got Britain's Got Talent 2024 runner-up Jack Rhodes, which is a fantastic magician. And then we've got the light switch on with Anthony Cotton, also known as Sean from Coronation Street. So he'll be doing a quick interview on stage with Gavin Young, who's hosting the stage, turning the lights on and setting the fireworks off, and then he'll be doing a meet and greet with members of the public as well. Throughout the day, we've got the Christmas market running along Market Street, which you should have a site plan and a stall plan, just to give you an idea where activities are taking place and how the stalls are going to be set out. We've got craft activities, face painting, we've got a festive reindeer trail where children need to help Santa find all his lost reindeers around the town. So there's multiple businesses involved in that. We've got letter writing, children's fun fair ride, donkey rides, Lancashire Fire and Rescue coming down with a fire engine, rodeo reindeer, snowboard simulator, giant snow globe, Christmas peatboard, Punch and Judy, comedy magic, balloon modelling, free Santa's grotto, performances from Lord Street Primary School Choir, and then we've got the Grinch and Cindy Lou's our walkabout act alongside the Christmas fairies. So they'll be handing out like Santa hats, reindeer antlers, all that fun stuff. We've got a meet and greet with Olaf the Snowman from Frozen. And then obviously we've got the torchlit procession, which will be led by Santa before the choir service in St. Bart's. So jam-packed schedule for the day. We've got activities taking place across town, some taking place in the town centre, some taking place in Hartley Square, some in the library, the market, and we're also utilising the town hall as our Santa's Grotto. So in the function room downstairs, we'll have the Santa's Grotto all set up, where people can come in through the double doors, round the back bar, along the back corridor, and into the function room. So most of the queue can be inside. But our lensmen have also built a Santa's sleigh so that when people go and see Santa, they can then get in the sleigh for a photo to create like a really nice photo opportunity, which we've got like fake snow and snowy trees to create a really nice backdrop. And then obviously there's the market, which we will be closing the road on the Friday the 29th to at 8 o'clock. So we'll get the tea time traffic through the rush hour. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll be closing the road to start building the market. Because we're using traditional market stalls, you don't really want to be setting them up at 5 a.m, 6 a.m, because the residents from Peterborough Whistle will not be happy. So that's why we're doing it the night before. So it's open, it's ready, and we've got security in place overnight to make sure that no one messes with the gazebos or the market stalls, because obviously we know what they get like once they leave the union. But it just gives you an idea of where the stalls are going to be, and we've colour coded it. So you've got our gazebos, we've got the food vendors, the traditional market stalls, and those that are bringing their own setup as well. And then there's a bit of arrival information to show where people need to go when they're setting up. So for Craig, example, bringing his own gazebo, he can drive down through the road closure, take a right down Marketplace, park up, and then carry his stuff up to his pitch. This way we're preventing people trying to squeeze between gazebos, and we're preventing that movement of vehicles when people are setting up. Obviously we're utilising the car parks and areas of the event that at that time will have people walking around to try and prevent issues with setting up. But anyone that's using a traditional market stall or one of our gazebos will have a A4 laminated trader sign that will say whatever their trade name is, and it'll be clamped to the gazebo or the stall, just to make it a little bit easier for them to find their pitch. And then finally, we should have a landscape graphic, which is the banners, which will be going out this week. We'll be dotting them, some in Colne, some in Nelson, Burnley, Barnoldswick, Earby, just to get the word out that obviously the Christmas light switch on is on. And I think that's it. We've got McAdams and Farmhouse Biscuits as proud sponsors of the event, and the lovely Diana Asda has very kindly donated some selection boxes for our Santa's Grotto. But we've got over 50 traders, so as long as we've got the weather, we should have a really exciting, bustling Christmas market. Any questions?
Chair, can I?
Yeah, of course. And then
can I congratulate Nathan on what looks like going to be a fabulous event? So congratulations, Nathan, you and your team.
Thank you.
Alice?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate you too. That's a lot of work. But you know that obviously Michael and I, we've been around the traders asking about what they think about our events. And it's very mixed. Some of them think, wow, it's so exciting, it's great, and they love it. One said, oh, we made £100 from a couple from Scotland who'd come to our town because of an event. And it was a wall shop, you wouldn't believe that, but they were willing to deliver. And others say, well, we're thinking of moving out of Colne because of all the events and its effect on the businesses. So you can never please everybody, and everybody has a different view of the events. However, one thing that did come through quite a lot was that pitches, gazebos were often put in maybe inappropriate areas. So you might have a store that's selling the same thing as an independent trader right in front of their door so that they can't be seen. And I just wondered whether, obviously perhaps not for this time, we could see the independent traders as pitches and then put other gazebos next to their doors so that there's a little bit more gapping, so people don't get funneled all the way down the street and not being able to get into the pavement area. So there's like 4 gazebos, gaps, another 4. So it's not such a long run. That's something that perhaps we could think about. Also, they were concerned about trucks and lorries being parked in inappropriate places so that they couldn't be seen, their shops couldn't be seen over. Greggs was happy, but the shop at the top wasn't. They said Greggs had a clear space in front of them and they didn't. So I think it was the sub.
Oh, the subway.
Yeah, so they had a store in front of them, whereas Greggs didn't. So we need to be a bit fairer in where we place things and think about what's going in front of what.
I've spoken to some of the traders as well, Alice, and thank you obviously for going up and speaking with them. I do obviously echo a lot of what you said, and Michael as well. The only other one was, I think, the pharmacy. Because they have issues like deliveries. They're just asking like if there's time like in the morning on the Saturday, if their delivery van is allowed down that little setup. Do you know where the butchers is, the Evercare? If they can bring their van down, obviously, to get the medication in, because rather than having to leave it, because some of the medication is obviously quite sensitive, and it has to be left with the other Evercare pharmacy down there. And it's just trying. Some of the delivery drivers are getting a bit funny because it depends, like obviously the type of medication, what it is, rather than having it exposed. Obviously, that it's not something they're keen on. But again, a lot of the feedback has been positive, barring like 1 or 2 that I've spoken to. But I think this new layout, obviously, which Nathan's obviously proposing, I think it could alleviate a lot of the concerns. I'll hand over to Nathan.
So obviously the issues that you mentioned we discussed yesterday. So the super sub, we've said we'll make sure there's a gap so that people can still see that he's there. If a lot of the businesses, if it were up to them, there'd be no traders in front of them whatsoever. But we've got to utilise the space that we've got. I wouldn't recommend putting gazebos in fours, because what you'll tend to find is if you get a little bit of wind, they're not as strong. Whereas when we tend to put them all in a row, because that way you can clamp them together and you can utilise the additional weights that you save by creating gaps to make them stronger in wind, especially like October, November time. But at Halloween, there was quite a few gaps in between gazebos, so you could go down the middle, or you could go down the back, or you could start on the back and go through to the middle, because I utilise them quite a lot when trying to get from one end to the other. But like we say, with the super sub, will create enough space so you can see that he is there, but he was very busy on Halloween as well. Evercare, I'll go in and talk to them, because it all depends on what time they want the delivery, which is why we sent a letter out middle of September advising of road closures. But I'll pop in and have a chat, and if we can work something out, then we can sort something. But it all depends on what time they want access. The comment about vehicles blocking the shops, I know which cafe that is, and what we will do in the morning when we get there on the Saturdays, we'll put no parking cones in the parking bays, because the road's closed anyway. So it means no traders or any entertainment providers aren't parking there, which I've already made note downstairs to make sure, so then their shop's clear. Was there any other concerns?
Daniel and then Craig.
Nathan, I have spoken to Helen from Queen on the Street, and she has volunteered to help me out on the Christmas switch on for litter picking, if that's all right with Alice as well.
It's fine with me. Thank you for that, David.
It's all right.
You were saying.
Okay. So Craig, you can
Well, it's just a suggestion really, but if the shops in the high street want to get involved, then I'm sure Nathan would welcome them to get a pitch outside anyway if they wanted it. But why don't they speak to Anissa from the bid, or if Nathan touches base with Anissa from the bid, and just on ways that they can perhaps hook into this market, because it is very profitable if you can hook into it when people come up. There's more people in Cornwall than there ever will be on a normal Saturday. And speaking when I used to be in the market, we used to put a stall outside as well, because it was quiet in the market, but it was busy on the street. So maybe some people just need a bit of help on how they can tweak their business to do it. So I don't know if you do, for example, cooked meat. It wouldn't be a big stretch to start making sandwiches. If you sold fruit and veg, you could do smoothies. You know, the different ways to hook into that market. Maybe, maybe the bid can help smooth over the edges. Maybe some of the costs. I don't know, but it's just an idea, to be honest.
Can I mention?
Yeah, of course.
They need to either decide they're going to really get involved, like in Warlett, they have a Victorian, and all the shops get involved, and they have the markets and everything, and they all go out. I mean, look, there's only 3 events where there's only Halloween, Easter, and Christmas where the roads where it's on a Saturday. Where so it's 3 days out of the year, 3 Saturdays out of the year. It's not much, is it? And as you say, if they got more involved, people say, "Oh, we didn't make any money." Then you think, well, there's so many people here. Why haven't you got your doors open and get them in? So I mean, sometimes you can't
please everyone.
Please everybody.
Well, we found that at one shop that was one of the stronger complainers, they actually don't open because they've already decided we're not going to make any money. And so I thought, well, yeah, but with the store, but with the gazebos, perhaps we could just be a bit more sensitive to the food outlet ones in Cornwall. And don't not regular gaps all the way, but just be a bit more sensitive to where the food are, because they're the ones that complain about the competition. But as Craig said, they could always.
I mean, the reason we've utilised the road closure this year more than before is because obviously we've lost half Parliament Street car park, so we've lost half our event space, which I'm sure that most people would prefer us to close the road for the day and put an event on that everyone enjoys than decide not to put the event on because we've no space. Some businesses, if they can't help themselves, we will struggle to help them. Obviously, we try and get the businesses to engage with us into the trails, into window competitions, into other bits of the event, but not all the businesses want to be involved, which is quite sad, really, because on an event day, the town's busier than what it would be on your standard Saturday. And even if they don't take more money than what they would on a normal Saturday, if they're getting involved, people are going to remember that business. It'll stand out to them. They might think, oh, I'll come back next Wednesday and have a look in that shop. So I think the businesses need to utilise that extra footfall. And like Craig says, if they want to get involved, then great, we'll work with them to get them involved. We can provide them with a pitch to get out there with the market. But the in between the gazebos and behind the gazebos, it was absolutely packed at Halloween. So they can't say that people couldn't get to them because the pavement and the road was absolutely packed with people walking constantly up and down, because that's why we put entertainment at the top end near the pharmacy and entertainment down in Hartley Square. So you've constantly got that footfall all day long, up and down, just so that when people aren't coming down, they're not coming down once, staying in Hartley Square, and that's it. That's why we split the entertainment. Obviously, the food outlets, we've got Super Sub, we've got the Thai, Greg's, Wilds.
Never happy.
They're not in the event area. What were they not happy with?
That they were losing their regulars and that they didn't have enough football, which I can't understand.
Right.
So maybe you'll need to go and have a little chat with them. I don't know who was in front of them.
Nobody.
About coffees there, just on code. Road
yeah.
closure doesn't start till when
Yeah.
bang. I'll pop in and have a chat because they were part of the Halloween trail as well, which we ran out. So
So I don't know quite why. Yeah.
I can remember sitting in this chamber several years ago when traders were grumbling about this, that, and the other. I think it was to do with the Blues, not when we took it over, but when Leisure Trust and Pendle were still running it. And I forget who said it. Was it Michael that said they've made their mind up? They're not going to make any money, so they shut. And there was one a health food person. Oh, they made more money pitching towards all the hippies and people that like the music. And this was when they had stalls down Swancroft, whatever it's Swancroft, as those of us that have been around long enough know it does. There are some. It's a case of you can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I think they're not happy unless they're grumbling about things. I don't think there's anything you can do You know, if I had a business there, I'd get a few little cards. You know, you can, do they still have those machines that you can print little business cards and say, get a few of those printed and just walk up and down and say, come and visit my whatever. Yeah. And you know, we've got a special sale on this week. It's not there anymore now, but Olivia's Shoes, when it was the Blues weekend, they always had a sale on, and they probably made more in that couple of days than the rest of it. I don't understand some of the traders' mentality.
I don't think it should sound like it sound a bit negative. The majority of shops we went to, we actually got a positive response. There was one particular shops, and well, we had a conversation with somebody who was very much complaining, wasn't they? But then in the next sentence, they said, well, when he said, what about the soapbox rally? Well, that's different because we have a bigger footfall. And so I thought, well, we can't win.
Anyway.
Nathan, has there been put in place any areas surrounding the event for people if it gets too much for them, like quiet zones, like the Citadel?
So we've got some colouring materials and sheets downstairs, which I'll drop off close to the time at the Citadel, and then Pendle Family Hub are due to be doing a crafting workshop inside the library as well. And there's no other activities taking place in the library on that day, so we've got two quiet zones, one at the top end and one at the bottom end of the event area for those that want to get out of the busy areas. But we've also got the A Defenders, which will be available from the information tent next to the stage, which will be a £10 cash deposit, but as long as you return them, you get it back, to also assist and encourage people that may be worried or concerned of the busyness, that we are trying to put stuff in place to make it enjoyable for all.
Craig, and
just quickly touched on this. I think I already know the answer. Toilets. Can we ask the library to unlock their toilet for the day? I know it'll get messy and I know it'll have to be cleaned up, but otherwise you've got people taking children into pubs and they don't want to.
We spoke to the library at Halloween and they did open the toilet. The market let people use the toilet in there, but we've also got portable toilets booked for Christmas as well.
Because I know we did do an event, I can't remember which one it were now. People were complaining that the toilet in the library were locked and it was such a palaver to get the key, which is no reflection on you. You can't control that. I just wondered if we could ask him. The Blues.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and then we'll move on to item 9.
Nathan, do you know that St. Bart's is a good place for a quiet area as well?
I'm waiting for the team at St. Bart's to come back to let me know what they're planning on doing, which is why the schedule's not been released yet. So we are waiting on St. Bart's to come back to us and let us know what they're getting up to.
Thank you. And on to item 9. Just before I get onto this one, I also know that now the mayor seems to be organising his own sort of awards event for the area. And if that award is going to be ongoing, then ours and that is kind of redundant, isn't it? Because it's kind of going to be like the same thing, I believe. Oh, Nathan, what?
I've seen that the mayor is doing an awards evening, but I think it'll just be whilst he is mayor. I don't think it'll carry on. But obviously the Pride of Colne Awards, we discussed it last time, different options that we're looking at. Which, when I've spoken with the town clerk, we was looking at budgets and what we can do with the resources that we've got. So her suggestion was to move the day of the AGM so it's not directly before a full council meeting, and tie the Pride Awards evening into an AGM, annual parish meeting, should I say, of the council, because that way we're utilising our building and we'll be able to tie it in with getting people involved in the annual parish meeting as well. Because when we've looked at hosting a full-blown award ceremony in a fancy venue with a bigger capacity than the 70 people you can get in here, because obviously you'll have different nominations and the cost for the awards. Looking at the budget that's being proposed for next year, we're going to be pushing it, especially if we're looking at doing Pride of Colne Awards as well as a pensioners Christmas lunch, which is item 10. So I think we need to look at different options. But when we looked at the cost of venue hire, a little bit of entertainment, and the prizes, you're talking between £2,500 and £3,000. Venue cost being the biggest one, because you wouldn't just invite the winner to the awards because then they know they've won. You'd invite multiple nominations to the awards evening. Yeah, so that's what they do at other awards evenings that we've looked at. But costings wise, if you've got your venue hire, you've got your little bit of entertainment, you've got your prizes, you're talking around about £2,500-3,000. Obviously, you could look at sponsors for the prizes, which would help reduce the cost, but you're probably still talking £1,500 to £2,000, even with sponsors involved. Whereas if we was to do it on the same day as the annual parish meeting and do it on a much smaller scale, we can reduce that cost to under £1,000, which would be doable. And obviously the council staff are already here, utilising this building. So just find out what everyone's opinion is, really.
Well, I'd actually like to, now you've come back with the feasibility study, would like to put forward that we do it at the AGM. Obviously seek out sponsorship from maybe the sponsors who already do our events. Maybe they'd like to say sponsor an award, maybe offer up a prize of somewhat, and that can obviously save on costs as well. I'm going to open it now to everybody else what their thoughts. I'd start obviously with Alice, and then David had his hand up as well.
Yeah, that's rather stunned me, that pricing. The Daisy Chain Awards are just being sorted out, which is an environmental award competition, and I've sent out, I think we're going to have about 70 people at the awards, and we obviously have it here. They get a certificate in a frame and a packet of seeds as their prize, and we've got a budget of £200. And we usually manage to sort that out. And they also get a chance to win two trophies: the Maureen Arnold Memorial Trophy and the Derek Gascoigne Trophy, two members of Colne in Bloom and the Waterside Action Group. And that's a really good event, which is here, and it's special because it's in the chamber. So I think we should have something like this here, and we should do it in the parish meeting. I'm not keen on calling it the Pride of Colne. I'd like something like Colne Community Champion, because Pride of seems to be done in so many other places, and I just think we do Colne Community Champions. That sounds quite nice, but other people might have another name that they can give it. But I don't really like Pride of Colne.
Nathan, I thought of a location. Do you know the Muni Theatre just on the road? And I thought of a good name actually for the the ceremony itself. Make a difference towards, like we mentioned in the last meeting.
Don't think we'd be able to use that because that's what BBC use. I think we might have their lawyers knocking on the door if we were to use that name. The cost around about 3,000 was included in hiring a certain venue, which is not the cheapest. The thing we've got to consider, obviously, there's two suggestions on here of new events. We'll say we're going to be pushing it doing both because there's the staffing of both of the events, but there's also the cost because we're working to a very tight budget. Because FES have been quite tight and quite harsh on budgets. And obviously with events not being a statutory service that the town council have to do, we're going to be the last on the list to get any more money because obviously there's other services that come before events. So that's something we just need to be mindful of, that we're not really going to be able to do the awards evening and then obviously the pensioners' Christmas lunch. So ultimately there's got to be a decision of which one do we do if you wanting to do any.
Well, I think obviously we'll bring in item 10 now to go alongside with item 9, because if we're going to make a decision on both of them, from my understanding, the pensioner Christmas lunch, this came in from Councillor Sarah Corbyn-Price. I believe they initially asked for funding from the Colne Area Committee and they were refused funding from Colne Area Committee. I think it was for the sum of £500. I might be incorrect on that figure, but obviously if Howard Mutt knows some more on this one, and obviously then.
Well, yeah, go on.
Thinking of cost, thinking of staffing. Just what about giving the people that caveat in front of the community that they are champions of, or whatever they call it. Just do it on the stage at one of the events, the switch on or Easter or whatever it is. You don't need to invite 3 or 4 different people. You just tell the winners to be there at a certain time. They get their award. You do all the categories beforehand. They get the big recognition. They get the prize certificate. If you can get the sponsors, that's fantastic. And it gets rid of a big headache of where do you do it. But that's just my view. And I'm going to have to leave you, I'm afraid. But
no problem, Craig. Is that feasible? Like scheduling wise, like say for next year, obviously when you do the scheduling, like the main stage of things, say Christmas, for example.
We could consider doing it part of an event. Obviously, you've just got your trophy costs then. And I think your best bet would have be looking at doing it at the gala when there's a stage or the Christmas lights switch on. I would be leaning more towards the gala just because how busy the Christmas lights switch on is already.
Sorry, excuse my naivety. The pensioners' lunch. Which pensioners? All the pensioners. Elected few. How many?
Yeah, that's another thing that I was about to mention because this has just been thrown kind of like last minute.
Chair, perhaps I can chuck some.
How would you
shed some light on it? As an ex-parish councillor in Foleridge, they for many years have had a pensioners' Christmas lunch, and I don't know who provided the. Well, I don't know how they do it now, but it started out that the tables were waited on by said parish councillors who provided cutlery to be used, and they did the washing up. Now, Coleridge has sort of expanded a bit since I left its environs, but I don't know the number of pensioners within there, but it's going to be a tiny number compared to the pensioners in Colne. Similarly, Trawden is, I assume that they have one, And I'm guessing Lancashire Bridge have something similar. Now you've said where the suggestion has come from, because people have this idea that because they do it in a parish where it is relatively easy to organise, because the parish council and the scarecrow, they all tend to be the same people in somewhere like Trawden or Folridge, so it is easy to organise. And certainly, I say, the Folridge one has been going since Adam was a lad. It's rather like the suggestion that was made for the full council meeting of having the county councillors and the borough councillors come along and waste 20 minutes of our lives wittering on about what they've done on Pendle and the county, which 90% of it we know anyway. But when it's a little parish council, what happens there, times that by 10, and they've got this strange idea that what applies in a little parish village council should apply to the town council, which obviously has a lot more infrastructure and what have you to look after. It really, we can't do everything. And I know Nathan said FES are feeling stingy on the budget, but the people that we're being stingy on behalf of are everybody that pays their council tax. The first sniff at the budget was an horrendous, would have been an horrendous rise in the town council's precept, which just can't happen. We can't be increasing things by getting towards double figure percentages in the 20s and 30s, which was what was talked about. We had a horrendous council tax rise last year, for the current year, because of it coincided with all the present or the former contracts for mowing the grass in Elkin Courts and so on came to an end. That's another one that they could possibly tag it into. If you're having a Colne Community Champion or whatever it could be called, I think at the moment that there seems to be a plethora of things happening. So the mayor is going around and banging the drum about such things, and I just wonder whether, if we're going to do that, we've got to knock something else off. I don't think there is capacity, staff-wise or otherwise, to do it. So it's balancing. Do we stick with the type of event we've got now, which brings people into the town and hopefully will bring them back another time to come and spend money and maybe help? Well, we think we're helping the traders. Some traders don't think that, but that's by the by. We've got to decide we can't do everything, and sooner or later, Nathan's going to end up a gibbering idiot because there aren't enough hours in the day, and the poor lad works long enough hours now. I think the thing is, give him a break. We're going to be a member of staff down shortly for at least 6 months when they go on maternity leave. So let's just think about what we're trying to do. We're piling more and more on. If we want to do something else, what are we going to knock out?
You are very right.
Ramp up.
You are right there, Howard. And we can't do everything. I would love to do everything, but we don't obviously have the budget to do everything. And obviously, the pensioners' Christmas lunch, it would work well, obviously, as I said, at a parish level. But for a town like Holme, we do have a quite large pensioner community. We can't feed them. Unfortunately, we can't feed them all. And obviously, we've got organisations, obviously like the Citadel. Obviously, they'll obviously
Every Friday.
Every Friday
We do a full roast dinner.
Every
for
Friday you
£4.50.
do like a full roast dinner, which obviously which everyone obviously can be invited to. And I'll hear comments obviously from Haley had comments, Patricia's got comments, and Alice has had comments before we obviously and Mary's got comments obviously before we like set on a proposal. And
I mean, we're open. We're always able to be that venue. You know, if you need that venue, we've got the kitchen, we've got the volunteers. That's not a problem. What we can't necessarily do is pay the food bill. If somebody wanted to do a big shop, we did a full English breakfast, a roast dinner for 25 people on Saturday. That's absolutely fine. If I know we're doing this next year, we can do it 3 Saturdays, 4 Saturdays towards the end of the year and make a real big event of it. 25 people each time, that's 100 pensioners. You know, shopping bill, 150, £200 maybe. Well, and this is it. If there's specific grouping, you know, I mean, surely, as you were saying, within each parish, within each RAP, if you're from Chorlton, you go to Chorlton. If you're from Falridge, you go to Falridge. We do have that availability, but we also do a Friday £4.50 full roast dinner every week. So I'll give you a quick break.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the pensioners' Christmas lunch, my church does one every year, and I'm sure St Bart's probably do. The Exchange Project probably do. Probably the churches will do a Christmas lunch for their elderly citizens. Asda are now doing soup and a roll for anyone over 60 for £1. And a brew, and you can top your brews up. We can't afford it. I'm sorry. As Councillor Howard has actually alluded to. Pride of Corn Awards. I like Councillor Mann's idea of, you know, and Craig's suggestions of putting them into an event. And Nathan's actually suggested the Corn Gala. It's not putting any extra money out of our budget, or it might be a little bit of money out of the budget, but it's not putting any pressure on that young man and his staff, because again, as Councillor Howard has exuded, the man is already run off his feet. We don't want him burning out. He's got a young family. We don't want him burning out. So, me personally, and if the mayor is going to be doing a Pride Award for this year, our local neighbours next next town down, they do a Pride Award every 2 years. Are we going to be copying them? No, I don't think we are. It's, again, how do we choose? It takes 6 months planning. Yeah, it does take 6 months planning, because you've got to get independent judges. You've got to go all around the business to try and find sponsorship. And then you've got to ask the people to nominate, for argument's sake, Secretary of the Year, Girl Guider of the Year, and Alice would be able to work us on that one. Girl Guider or Brownie of the Year, fireman. model citizen, top schoolboy. You've got all the different categories, and it's a nightmare. And I know because I worked on it. I worked on it 4 years ago, and it's a nightmare. We haven't got, and I'm privy to, because obviously I'm on FES, and I was privy to the nightmare that we are facing. So we haven't got the money, Chair. I'm sorry. So for me, leave the pensioners' Christmas lunches to the local parishes and the churches, and put the pride or the pride of Cone Awards or the Cone Awards in with, say, Cone Gala. We can do them. I mean, it gives us an extra 6 months to look at them, and it's going to cost us a lot less. But we're not holding a special event. We don't have to hire it anywhere. We don't have to feed them. We don't have to get entertainment in. We've got it all. It's already planned. All we've got to do is just announce it, or get whoever's our MC at the Cone Gala to announce all the winners. And I think that would be the most apt and suitable suggestion on this matter, Chair.
Thank you, Alice and Mary. Any further comments?
No, I just think that we just should put to bed the pensioners' luncheon, and I propose that we do not do that this year. Have we got a seconder on that? Yeah.
So,
well, any year. No.
So the proposal on the table, obviously, it stands to decline the pensioners' lunch, because obviously there are other organisations within the town, churches, and obviously volunteer organisations that do obviously hold their own. It's not something that's within our remit to do. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Proposer in Alice, in a seconder, and second Howard. All those in favour? Thank you. And I'd also like to obviously propose the name Alice chose for the award, the Cone Community Champion Award, obviously, and to obviously link that in with the gala to limit the expenses. I'll propose that. Can I have a second? And seconded that by Patricia, and all those in favour? That's carried. That's decision carried. Thank you very much. On to
hang on.
Oh, so, before I run away, obviously.
I think Dorothy brought this up because they used to have cream teas in St John's, but they only did a few. They gave tickets out to people that they knew, but then half the people couldn't go because they didn't have a ticket. So they'd be saying, well, why am I? And you couldn't get the thousand. They were into big enough spaces that. And even in the olden days, as it were, you had to be poor. You had to define yourself as poor. And like all the posh people, they used to have tables in the Muni going up and down. They might get 100 in. And, people who went, they'd say, oh, well, they must be really poor. Well, you don't want to be picking on folks saying that they're poor, do you? And stuff like that. And old and poor and aged.
Exactly. We can't discriminate, not in this day and age.
No, and I think it'll be good if they have them either at Christmas, obviously not this year, because ordinary citizens will see who they are. A crowd of them, not just a few people here, won't they?
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So, and we've all got the schedule there that Nathan's drawn up for 2025. The only date that we don't have on there is obviously for the Grand Prix, which is obviously set by British Cycling. So we don't know the date for that one. So has anyone any concerns about the scheduling, Alice?
I just can't see the Blues on there.
That's because the Blues is separate to this committee. We've got the Blues Festival Advisory.
Right, I see. So,
but if you want to know, the Blues Festival's August Bank Holiday weekend.
Is it still going ahead?
Yeah, still
no,
going ahead.
I just was worried that it wasn't here.
No, there isn't. for the benefit of the public and obviously the minutes, there is no plans, obviously, to cut the budget. I don't want to start like a riot. I don't want lynch mobs outside my house. Thank you. So Nathan,
just to quickly run through the event schedule. So the Grand Prix, we're waiting for confirmation from British Cycling because we've submitted the tender to win the event again for next year. So we've submitted 2 dates to them that would be beneficial. And as soon as we know, I can get it out there that date's been confirmed. Obviously, we put a note on to state that depending on the condition of Parliament Street car park and the schematics of the events, a road closure may be required for the town centre events due to the health and safety element. Because if you're expecting to have various entertainment, a market, and all that fun stuff at an event, with the reduction of that event space, once you get 1,000 people going from Parliament Street car park to Hartley Square or wherever, you've got that health and safety risk, which we have experienced before. Easter last year, it was absolutely packed and there wasn't a road closure in place, and there were so many near misses because people didn't want to walk through people squeezing on pavements and waiting the road, which is obviously another reason we may have to consider a road closure. But obviously a road closure, then the businesses benefit because we're bringing the event closer to the shops, but it gives us a bigger event space. But it all depends on the schematics and the condition of Parliament Street car park. Obviously, we're also refurbing the market. I've also put a key on there just to show what events have a road closure, whether it's a standard road closure or whether it's a rolling road closure that comes in and out depending where it is. So obviously the gala is a rolling road closure because we close it from the top in a small section for the parade, but then as the parade moves up, the bottom reopens and the top closes and so on. And then obviously the Grand Prix where we close the road because we have to. And then this Christmas, because of the size of the event, we have to close the road. But then we've got the rolling road closure for the procession, which again, it closes in sections. So the bottom will be closed, and as it moves up, the bottom will reopen, the top will close to allow traffic to still get round. But those are the proposed dates. We've obviously looked at when Easter is and Halloween and obviously the last Saturday of November, like we do Christmas every year. So we've followed the pattern we have for the past couple of years. Yeah.
Have we had any discussion with the bid at all with their events? Or is there a representative who's on this committee?
The bid's no longer co-opted onto the committee, and we've not had any update of what they're planning for next year. So we're not aware of any bid events for next year yet.
Should we have somebody co-opted from the bid?
Well, we did, but they never turned up.
Exactly. We've co-opted them previously in the previous year, and they declined to attend, and we rarely received reports from them, so it's not really beneficial. And I'd like to propose that we do accept the proposed schedule. And can I have a second? Howard seconds that, and all those in item carried. And on to item 12, items for the future month's agenda. I would obviously like to bring co-option back onto the agenda, obviously, because we have had a request for a new member to be co-opted onto the council. So not onto the council, obviously onto the committee. And yeah.
I will just apologise. It wasn't on this agenda. I spent most last week in Airedale with my little boy, so it completely slipped my mind. But I'll make sure it's on for next time.
We all hope that your son does is like a very smooth recovery from everyone here on the council.
Absolutely.
Does anybody else have any items that they'd like to add to the next agenda at all? No. Date and time of the next meeting is Tuesday, the 14th of January. And I'd also like to say, obviously, thank you to obviously everyone to attend. Also, thank you to everyone who does watch at home.